Hey everyone. I'm going to be working through an R data set and trying to make some graphs from it and analyze some of the data. So to start out, I have a new Porto document and just want to install some pretty important packages first. We've got Dplyr, Tidyr, and Reader. So Dplyr, of course, for kind of transforming the structure of the data, and Tidyr to tidy it. And here's the data. So I chose the SAFI data, and this data was collected in Tanzania and Mozambique, and it's about people in these three different villages, God, Chirioso, and Ruwaka, being members of an irrigation association, and I think kind of like how irrigation is impacting their lives. So just at first glance at this data frame, so key ID, that represents one basically like family unit, so like a unique identifier for each family. Each of the observations isn't just for one person. And then the village they belong to, the date they were interviewed. Okay, so for key ID, there's for some reason two number ones. And it looks like same village. Maybe that's like some sort of mistake in the data. For in my analyses, I'm probably gonna end up taking out this key ID number one. And then interview date, let's see, 2016 through 2017. So it might be interesting. I don't know if I might need to like split things up by year. Number of members, so that's the number of members per household. And then years lived, that's how many years that household has lived within the village. So that's kind of interesting. There's like a huge range of years. So maybe we could dive into why certain households are living in certain villages for longer. And that could be impacted by the irrigation, not food. Wall type, we're not going to do anything with that. Rooms, that's the number of bedrooms per home. And then member association. So this is, there's an irrigation association in these towns. I'm not exactly sure what its function is, but I'd assume being a member of that association would be beneficial. So might end up splitting up like families by if they are not members in their villages, and then I will be getting rid of these null values. Affect conflicts. So this is if the families have been affected by irrigation related conflicts in their village. That could be an interesting column. And then live count. So that's the number of livestock these families own. And then, well, this certainly isn't tidy, but we've got the items that they own. So that's kind of interesting. And then, so number of meals is how many meals they have per day. Months lack food. So again, not tidy, but pretty self-explanatory. And then another like identifier. So I think to start out with, like in my mind, irrigation is tied to growing food, but as we can see, there's a lot of these months that these people are hungry. So I think it'd be interesting to try to tidy up this data and basically probably be splitting up observations by village and by year, because if we're talking about growing food, then it's possible maybe 2016 or 2017 was a drought year, and there's not any climate variables in this data, but maybe we could just kind of see if there's different, if year has a big impact on hunger. So yeah, so to start, I do want to split this up by year. So we can go back to our Quarto document, and I'm going to use lubridate to get a year by itself. Okay, so we got lubridate going. And then also mention that my handy dandy packet cheat sheets. So that one for like ggplot and for Dplyr and for Tidyr, because I know I'm going to be using these three packages a ton. So yeah, let's see. And then okay, so we want to get a year by itself. So we can probably make its own like year column and like specify from year, month, days. Yeah, I'd say that's definitely year, month, day format. So start with original graphic frame, and we want to make a new column. So we'll call that year, and that's gonna get year, and then we can now use like our lubridate function. So year, month, day, and that's from the Safi data. And we need to pull the year from the interview date column. So we're basically just stripping out year from the interview date column and putting it in its own column called year. I hope this works. Okay, stay over here. Yes, awesome. So there we go. We've got separate observations that we can now filter by 2016 and 2017, just a lot easier. Because I'm not interested in the months for this data. It looks like it's all in the same month for 2016 and pretty much the same month collected for 2017. So next I want to make two separate data frames. One for 2017 data, oh, there's a packet, and then one for 2016 data. So this, we could just do a simple filter statement. Okay, I think, let's see, data 16 will be the name of our new data frame. Get the Safi data, and we need to pipe that into our filter statement. So now we're pulling from Safi data, binding to the year column, and we want to filter for 2016. Okay, that looks like it should be right. Yes. Okay, so now we have our data 16. To make sure, yeah, looks like all 2016 data. Okay, awesome. And now we can do the same for 2017. So 2017, it's our original data. Here's the data. We want to filter again by the original data frame. We want observations from the year column in 2017. Okay, let's double check. Yes. Okay, sweet. So it looks like all 2017 data. So right off the bat, we're seeing that 2017 has less observations than 2016. So that like could be a problem. It's like only like about half. But we'll just see what happens. So yeah, just could be okay. So with the key ID, which I just find it weird that there's two for number one, I'm gonna try to filter out number that key ID one. So I can have my data 16, it's data 16, filter, data 16 binding to key ID, and that should equal key ID 1. okay. Okay. So, I need to specify that I don't want to keep all the others. So to do that, I need to put an exclamation mark. So yeah, so that signifies I don't. Well, shut up. Just go to this. Just straighten this little brain. Okay, there we go. So yep, we got rid of key ID number 1. Make sure we still have just 2016. Yeah. Great. Okay. So moving on. Okay, so I want to now start working on tidying up the month/food column. So my plan for this is that it's all separated by these semicolons. So I want these basically to move from kind of this wide format to a longer format. So I want them to be stacked. So that means that January, February, March, October, those each should have their own cell. And then like basically all of them kind of be like repeating, but that's fine. So I could probably do this with like pivot longer, but I want to just kind of reference my cheat sheet and see what other stuff. I feel like this one. I wonder if I can just kind of split it up by like how it's separated here with the punctuations, and that might be easier to do. Oh, okay, here. So we've got separate longer delimitation. So that's interesting. Okay, so let's separate longer delim. So my data need data equals just kind of look this up. Yeah, so it splits by delimiter. Separate column. Okay, so data. So data. So yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do this first. We'll do this for the 2016 data. So we can put data 16. And so next we need to specify our column. So just month last. Okay, so now we have our month food column, and then lastly, we just separate by my colon. Okay, let's see how this does. I still want this just to be this. Okay. So it doesn't like the limb. Why? Oh, okay. So I need to use the limb instead of separate. I think this should work. observation format. Yes, perfect. So January, February, March, all the months are split into its own cell, which is nice. Definitely a lot tidier. Okay, so I want to basically just do this for 2017 as well. So put it to 17. Did it? Yep. Okay. Great. Our months are tidy. So next. Okay. I want to kind of like find the counts of these months before we craft it, because I think I always like making the summary data frames. I think it's just easier to compare back to like the whatever plot you end up making in ggplot. So I think to do this, we can use the summarise function. But first we need to like specify that we want it to be into that we want summarise to go into a new data frame. So I'm just gonna call that summary. And we'll start with 2016. So we'll say summary 16 gets data 16 data frame to summarize from. And then so part of this, I think my end goal for graphing this data is that I'll have the months on the x-axis, and then I can group by the village, and we can see like the count of the number of months. Basically, like for each month, we can see a count of how many people in that village were hungry. So for January, there'll be like, let's say like 3 bars on January if all 3 villages had hunger that month. Same with like February, maybe only 2 of the villages were hungry. So that's why I'm gonna start grouping by village. So we can use the yeah, group by. So we can use group by village, and then type to. I think now we can start using our summarise function. So I want to make this just like have like a new column, so I'm gonna call it just the number of months. And then for summarise, we need to be able to basically count those number of months. So I think, let's see, I just want to look up the function real quick. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so group by, go. Yeah, here we go, count. So we want n with the sign, so n. So there we go. And then we want to make sure we ungroup the data. Here. Formatting to get it better. So we can just pipe to summarize. We got a number of months. What was I doing? Just ungrouping. We can ungroup and see if this works. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so now we can see Chirdozo, not quite sure how to say that. They were hungry for 88 months. Like in total, all the families in that village, they had a total hunger of 88 months. God 106, Raqqa 31. So in 2016, I hope to be living in Raqqa. Let's look and see how 2017 compares. Basically just using the same steps. Okay. There's summary data frame for 2017. So already we can see there's just a ton, many fewer observations. And then for this, Raqqa had the most hunger in 2017. So I wonder regionally, like where these villages are split, and if that could be due to some sort of environmental variable. But I think with the data we have currently, unless we pull in data from another source, we won't be able to untangle that. And then probably not really necessary here, but I would just like to join these data sets. I think for that, inner join. Wait, just look it up. Join. Yeah. So with the inner join, that means that we can join by village. Okay, yeah, that. So we'll just call this summary. Get inner join, and we'll have our two data frames. Go summary 16, join summary 17, and we want to join them by village. Work. Yep. Okay, perfect. That's just a little easier to see. So overall, definitely village god, I'd say had the most hunger. Chorizo, not too bad. So, all right, now I want to start graphing this because it always helps me to see these sort of relationships graphically, and then that way now we can start parsing out by our months essentially. So put my ggplot. Okay, that'll help me. Here we go. Okay. So for this, my gosh, okay, I don't need this anymore. So I think I need a bar graph since like the months lack food on the x-axis is like more of a categorical data, but it could be a histogram. So we can always try it with both and to see if it works better than the other. But yeah, I'm gonna start with that. Okay, so I'm gonna start with 2016. So first I want to make sure that the 2016 data is grouped by village. So we can also group by key ID. So we keep the households by can group by candy and village. Okay. So it should all be grouped by, so now we can start with our ggplot. Oh, and first I want to make sure to call ggplot from my library. And I also like using pubr, which is like a theme. I just think it looks pretty slick, and it's basically made to like give your graphs like a publication ready look. So we got our two things called. So now we can start with ggplot and do 2016 data. So data equals data 16. Now we need our axes. So x equals the months lacking food. Follow that right? Yep. Okay. So our months lacking food. Okay. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of for my y-axis. Should be fine. Yeah. Okay. We'll just do, and then we can have our fill equals village. So I used to always make the mistake of just putting color equals village, but all that does is put like an outline, a colored outline of your bars rather than like actually filling them in with the color. So now I'm going to call my geom bar. And so I'm using stat count because we want a count of the months. And that should be good. And then I can add my theme. So theme. Okay. And so now we can add our labels. So title equals, let's say, so it's basically like the number of households without food like per month, because in a way we're like counting the months, but then that also indirectly is counting the households. So I think we can basically summarize this as the number of house. And then I can also add, oh, that bad. I can also add another labels function because we can name our x-axis and y-axis. So x equals, that's going to be our months without food. Oh, and then the y equals basically our like. And I think that should be good. So we shall see. Oh, okay. So it's stacked, which I don't necessarily want it to be stacked, but luckily it did what I wanted to do by basically grouping all the observations by village and then separating out the months. So definitely from here, I think it's very hard to tell what village had most or least hunger. So, okay. think to knock off, to like basically make it so it's 3 different bars for each month, we can use position equals dodge. So I think I can add that in here to the geom bar. So position equals dodge. Yeah, let's see how that changes things. Perfect. Okay. So it does make it look better. Now I can start to kind of distinguish what villages did not have food when, what villages were more hungry. So I'd say definitely village god had the most hunger, and then Ruaka didn't have hunger in like 4 months or 5 months. So yeah, that's pretty good. And something that really bugs me is how like the bars are kind of floating and they're not flush with the x-axis. So that awesome little command that I found was scale y continuous, and this will help just shove those bars down against the axis. So you can use expand equals, I think it's, yeah, 0, 0. And then our limit. So basically what the limit does is it's looking at like, well, what's your highest x axis value? And so it looks like maybe that's going to be 30. So I might just put 35 to be safe. We'll see what that ends up looking like. Okay. Wait, work. Yes. Awesome. So yeah, it just literally brought down our axes. We have 35 being a very top observation. So that worked well. So I'm just gonna like basically copy and paste this, and so that we can do the same thing for 2017. So data gets data 2017, and okay. So then for 2017, definitely a lot less observations, but we see. Maybe I can bring down the scale. Let's just see what that ends up looking like. Down to 20. Yeah. So definitely Ruaka had the most hunger here, but also not all of the months people were hungry. God is still kind of up there. Chirozzo did pretty darn good in 2017. So definitely the count is a lot lower. So I feel like definitely Ruaka and Chirozzo be the best, the villages with the least amount of hunger. But yeah, I guess moving on. What do you want to do from here? I want to see if the membership had an impact. So maybe members of the irrigation association were less hungry than members that weren't. So I think first we can dive into seeing what the percent membership is looking like. So right off the bat, I know I'm going to filter out these null values. We'll still be grouping by village, but the end goal is basically just gonna, like for village god, maybe it's like 20% non-members, 80% members or something. And we just want to get those values. So I think I'm gonna kind of go through the same steps. We're creating just like a summary data frame, and then we can just make a quick another quick bar graph and see what it looks like. And speaking of which, I just want to see if switching geom bar to geom histogram makes a big difference. No, it looks exactly the same. Okay. So I'm just gonna stick with bar. Yeah. I don't really need like all the crazy, because I'm not going to be filtering by like date or anything. So I just want to kind of start with the fresh data, and that way, at least for me, it's easier for me to then kind of like see the transformations I'm doing easier. Later I can go back and kind of combine all these steps just using like date from that refreshed. Okay, I think to start, we want to filter out that key ID again. So Softy data, get Softy data, filter, and so just, yeah, filter Softy data, bind it to key ID. It's 1, and then I don't want to make the same mistake as last time, so I want it to be not 1. Yep, and that took it out. Perfect. Okay, so from here, we can start filtering out the unknown member statuses, because I really don't want to deal with those. So let's see. Yeah, we'll just use another filter statement. And then you want to be binding to the, what was it called? Mem association. Okay. Binding to the member association column, and you want to filter out noise, and we want there not to be in our data. Oh my gosh, too many signs. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna what do I want to just all this stuff split by here. No, okay, I just need to find the percentages essentially. So I can just be grouping by the village and disregard pretty much everything else. So to do that, I'm gonna call the new data frame, see like Softy, and then I'll abbreviate membership mem. So this is gonna be the data frame for the members, and we're gonna use the Softy data, and I want to make sure we're grouping by village. Village, and then okay, so from here, since I want to find the percentage, I can make a new column. So I can be doing mutate, and then I want to call my new column the percent members, and then that's going to be equal to, so now I need to write like an equation to find the percentage. So I kind of like add them up, so I can do the mean of the member association column, yep. And then since this is, I just want the yes people, and I think to make it a percentage, I can just multiply 100. So let's see. I think it worked. Yeah, okay, because that was the god, so 37.5% are members, 40% of Chirozzo are members, and we need one more. Okay, so then that would mean 30% of Rawakans are members. And just go across, yep, and that's all for Rawaka. So perfect, that worked actually really well. So I'm gonna do the same thing, just a couple of things. I know I'm getting close on time. And we'll just call this the non-members group by village again, but we want to filter out for no, and okay, that should work. Here, yep, non-members. So, yep, 62% and God are not members, 59% and Chirozzo not members, and 70%. So yeah, that works because earlier Rawaka had 30% members and 70%, and now so yeah, we're only at 200. So it's working out good. Okay. So now we can add, like, just do a quick little sum frame just to make sure that all those numbers are actually aligning. So I want to use that bind columns because I could do another join. I already did a join, so there's another function, bind columns, where it literally just like takes out one column from one data frame and just sticks it on to the end of the data frame. So I can just create a new data frame, and I'm just going to call it my percent data frame, and so that way this is the data frame that I can use to make my graph run. So we have percent data frame, and we can use that bind calls. Let me make sure I'm using. Oh, oh, okay. Question mark. Yep, I multiplied items by column. This should work. We'll give it a shot at least and use our joins. So I'm going to find the Safi mem to Safi non-mems. Basically, right now the syntax is really similar to just using a join. Then I'll have a new column being called percent non-members, which is being taken from the Safi non-mem data frame that I created. So non-members makes it okay. See if I can figure this out. I know I'm just now hitting 45 minutes, so make it being like a minute, and I'll see if I can get this sorted out. Okay, I need to go back to, because the column doesn't exist, I didn't when I mutated into the non-members data frame, I didn't call that column a new name, so I literally just need to add percent non-members. So that, yeah, that'll match it perfectly. Great. Okay. So let me just rerun the mutate statement. That should work, and then this should work. Okay. Yes. Did you work? Okay. Yep. And so now we have our percentages. Great. So let's see. I'm at time, but if I could, I might. So like right now, I've got 46 minutes, but I might just try to make a graph really quick so you can like see this better. But feel free to like go off the video if you want. So I want to use my ggplot, and we're going to use our percent data frame. We need our axes. So x is going to equal our village. Oh, okay. This might be kind of weird because I basically have like two y-axis. Shoot. Okay, maybe I can like stack. Maybe I can like have like geom bar for one y-axis and geom bar for a second y-axis. It's worth a quick try. That'd be kind of cool if that works. So geom bar. I always want to make sure to fill by the percent. The percent numbers. And then, okay. Last time we did stat equals count, but stat, I want these to just be drawing in like the same data there is. I don't need to do anything different, so I'm going to use stat equals identity. And last time I think we had to use position. So I'm just gonna assume we're probably gonna do it again. So okay, so then now I'm going to add another geom bar, but this is going to be for the percent non-members. Percent non-members times equals dodge. Okay, let's see how this works. Unexpected symbol. Wait. It would be nice if you could tell me where the unexpected symbol was. Oh, I think it's here. Oh, um, what was not really showing up? That was very strange. Okay. Well, okay. I think I'm gonna stop recording here because granted, this should be like it seems definitely I can tell by the error. There's just a weird symbol, so something is just off with my syntax, I think. Like I probably have like a random, a weird, like maybe like plus sign or like my parentheses are off. But what my goal for this graph was to have another bar graph where the villages were on the x-axis. We would have like God, Chirozzo, and Raqqa. And then each of those should have two bars. So one bar will be colored for percent non-members and another bar for percent members, and those should just add up to 100%. Then we could just see side by side like who had the greatest percent membership, which we can already basically see that what was that? Chirozzo had the greatest percent membership right here. So it's not really quite necessary to visualize it. And that would maybe kind of make sense because I mean, certainly for this year, I think this was the 2017 graph. There was really no hunger in Chirozzo. And if I go back to the 2016 graph, so there's definitely some hunger here, but it wasn't as bad as Village God. So maybe being members of that irrigation association is actually helping. So yeah, I hope this video was somewhat enjoyable. So yeah, thank you.